can do you a little summary of what happened in the video. So basically, at the first part of the video, they are sending a boarding torpedo with little boat protector. What's happening video? To attack a ship. They basically enter the ship, and as Space Marines, they encounter what is basically the equivalent of the guardsmen that you saw before, but except they are the people living inside the ship, and they're corrupted by something. They encounter two constructs, basically their machine, with incredible psychic powers. They destroy them, they get in, and then you realize that it was an operation meant by the Inquisition, because they captured something, and they wanted to do something in this ship related to that. Then you realize that it was a trap, because if you listen to what the sphere said, it says they are here, what should we do? And it says you must take at least one. And so the sphere actually awake. One corrupts the Inquisitor that is linked to it, because it noticed that there has been spy on, and the Inquisitor get purged. The Inquisitor still had time to say cancel the operation to the other Space Marines, so they went to do that, but it's too late. The other sphere, basically a Xenos or something alike, takes the Space Marines with her and warp, meaning she travel in the Immaterium, which is basically a dimension that is a reflection of the living world. But because the living world becomes a very bad place, currently the Immaterium is very violent and corrupted. Except, even for the bad guy, things doesn't always go as they want. And as they are traveling the warp, and they feel very smart about basically overpowering the Space Marines, something happened. Let me see if we can see it. The warp is a very dangerous place. So you see, that's what captured them. That's what inside the sphere, the way it looks like. And it's linked to all the Space Marines. But being inside the warp can attract the attention of something called demon. That's a demon that wanted to basically just eat it.
Oh.
And that basically forced the 5 Space Marines out of the warp. It just got instantly
I was wondering what happened.
What?
I was wondering what happened there.
Well, basically, they get too smug. They got too comforted in the fact that they will manage to go across the warp like if they wanted. But the warp is a very dangerous place, and some of the stuff that live inside the warp, well, you can see it. Basically, even a Psyker as powerful as this one got devoured in an instant by one of these entities.
Gosh.
They are basically a representation of the emotion, of the raw emotion and desire of humanity between us, of the living races. And so they wake up here, which was the place where they were supposed to go. At least the place where the sphere wanted them to go. They wanted Space Marines to go there. For why, we don't know. But apparently it's supposed that they needed their help or something. Myself, my own theory is that basically those spheres are what we call void spheres, the fragments. They're supposed to be it goes deep in lore, but basically in the past there was something called the Great Old, that were basically a race that achieved such a great level of existence that they became being living both in the warp and in reality at the same time, immortal, basically gods. And they went to fight a war against other gods from the stars, called the Catan.
Are we talking about the Catan? Yeah, we're talking about the Catan. I thought so.
And basically, this war polluted the Immaterium to a very high level, making it a very unsafe place. And it called some beings from the warp a lot of bad shit. The warp is like a sea. On the surface of the sea, the most the most the population that is the most present in the galaxy, for no humans, for example, they are managing to interfere with the warps. That's why there is chaos. That's why there is this great gods of chaos that represent the raw human emotion. That's why the toes that are a very little race for now aren't that much in danger in the warp and don't understand it, because basically for them they are still so little that they don't have much influence over the warp, and the warp doesn't have much influence on them. You must imagine that in the 41 millennium, humanity conquered all of the stars. And when I say they conquered all of the stars of the galaxy, it's that literally they conquered all. They conquered all of the stars. They are basically... This is the galaxy. And every little star has been colonized by humanity. And there is billions of people living there. So humanity is everywhere, and humanity is fucking breeding all over the place.
Wow, they're like cockroaches.
Oh, worse than cockroaches. Humanity in this setup is the most present race in the galaxy, and the Imperial Guard that you saw is our first way of defense against any danger. And the Imperial Guard is able to win any fight by just the sheer number they are. Every other fucking major race is usually stronger than the Imperial Guard. But these guys, they can send billions of troops against you, wave after wave after wave. They have more men than you have ammunition. You're going to lose.
There is another race that is comparable that you would say are the real cockroaches, because they come from the time. They are a race that evolved from the time of the Catan. The
Necron. But
orcs.
let's not go into the orcs and the Necrons. That's something else. But even the orcs are very much stronger than a normal human. But basically, yeah. Back in the day, the only potion that we didn't add really basically under our presence was the Airs of Terror here. But things happen lately. It's a Turkish. What the fuck? Don't say that, Silverstone. What the fuck?
What?
So racist, my god. But basically, the Eye of Terror broke and sliced the galaxy in two. Warhammer 40k had a lore that was very fixed for 20 years. With basically, how to say that? When I was born, 40k already existed. When I was 9, I read the rule book of 40k, which was the second or third edition. And I learned about the lore of the game at the very basic stuff. And not many stuff were made. During the 20 next years, they did a lot of work in order to make the past lore more solid and better. And now, since 2020, they decided to make the lore advance again. And right now, there is a lot of stuff happening with a lot of things, everything. It's very funny. But anyway, so what I was saying is that the warp is like a sea. And humanity is able, through their thinking and reflection and everything, to influence part of this sea. But the things that live deeper in the mid-stratum or in the abyss of the warp, those things are worst. You don't want those things to get to you. And the war between the Catan and the Old Ones awaken one of those things that are claimed the slavers, if I remember well. Enslavers. They are Metroid of the mind, if you want. They are very parasitic entities that connect to your mind and reproduce using your body, like to materialize in the real world. So they infected a lot of the old ones and breed through them, and the Ctan weren't able to be infected because the Ctan are a being of radiation, so the enslaver couldn't materialize through the Ctan. Only the old ones were plagued with this. So they basically decided to leave, or they disappeared, we don't know. But what we suppose we know is that one of them apparently got fragmented just like the someone were. And now in the warp, there are strange spheres that sometimes accompany the ships that travel. They don't do anything, we don't know what they are. But it's supposed to be, we call them the Seeker because one of the race worships them and says that this thing is seek something. And they seek apparently to become back to being one, to be an old one. But that's as much as we know about them. The old ones were very powerful beings, stronger than the Chaos God, able to basically make their mind materialize and unmaterialize everything they wanted. But they disappeared a long time ago, and they left some traces of their existence. But anyway,
Much lore.
that's just a teeny fragment of the lore because there is so much more. No, there is a tyrannid, there is stuff, there is... It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
40k has a lot of lore.
And it's good lore, they are making it mostly good. This is what is great. Ah. Also want to look at my favorite race, and the race you will like probably. Look at these beautiful bastards.
Oh.
They are Eldars. They were basically...
Eldars.
The Eldari were basically a race that served under the Old Ones, that gifted them immortality, and they fought along their side against the protected of the Ctan, which were called the Necron. And when the Necron went to the big sleep and basically disappeared inside their tomb world, after losing basically their body and enslaving their own gods, or slaying them, the Eldar became the most powerful and lonely race of the galaxy, and they basically went very big and went decadent. And when they become decadent, they started doing stuff very bad. They started basically doing everything they wanted. And the gods of the Aldari warned them that it was a bad idea to start doing orgies with cats and children and in the middle of a fucking supernova, you know? While they are cutting their own arms just because they're bored. And from that, there are two kind of people. There are the kind that say, hey, I don't give a fuck about what you're saying. And there's the ones that say, okay, let's get away from this. They went into either Maiden World, which are basically retreat away from the Eldari society, or they went into Craft World, which are basically giant ship in space that are basically a full world. And they did that just in time for a new Chaos God, which is my Chaos God, to be born. Let me present you Slanesh, the god of pleasure, and more than pleasure, it's sensation. So for some reason, Warhammer doesn't want to represent the aspect of Slanesh as beautiful as they are, but they are supposed to be Slaanesh is also the god of beauty. They are able to make things very, very beautiful. But because it wouldn't be Peggy 18, we don't actually see that part. They tempt you with every desire you want to have. And this was so violent, the creation, the birth of this new god, that the Eye of Terror was born, which is like basically a part of the galaxy itself, basically fell inside the warp, creating a gigantic hole in reality that connects warp and reality. And that's very bad. And so the surviving, and it killed a lot of Eldar. Basically, every Eldar that was doing something not that good at this time went basically directly to feed Slaanesh and became basically part of Slaanesh. Slaanesh also won the nice prize doing that of having the right to every soul of the Eldari race. Every time an Eldar die, they are directly sent to Slaanesh, which welcomes them by saying like, hey, let's fuck. Making Slaanesh actually a very powerful god, because it means that a whole fucking race of souls are dedicated only to her. No matter what you do in life as an Eldar, as soon as you're born, the moment you die, you will be sent to Slaanesh. The only way to avoid that is by the normal Eldari, because they send it in too. It's a spirit stone, which is basically that the Eldar use this little stone on their armor. When they die, their soul is being captured inside. Maybe it's no more of a soul stone. I don't remember the name in English. But basically, it's the only way they have themselves to protect themselves from Slaanesh. They are forced to be...
You don't want to go to Slaanesh's realm. You don't.
Well, it depends. If you're a Black Eldar, you enjoy that. You basically get captured inside one of those very cold stones for eternity, and you can be implanted inside various devices to go back to fighting.
I was about to say, if it's just you getting trapped in the stone, I'm just like, gosh, it must be pretty bad to go to Slaanesh if you'd rather that.
Well, it depends, because you see, there is the... Oh, titties, no. I have no right to show that, sorry. Those guys are called the Black Eldar. They are the ones that survived by luck when the collapse of the Empire happened. And those guys, they love what Slaanesh do, more or less. They're all about torturing themselves, killing each other, having slave sex with everyone that passes by. They are the worst degenerate you can imagine. Just as much... Imagine an elf that have... Because they're immortal. Imagine an elf that can live for thousands of years and that decide to dedicate itself not to the art of painting, for example, but the art of graving stuff on your bones when you're still alive. That's a Dark Eldar. Okay, they're making superb... they're very good at making sculpture with your bones, but fuck, that's fucking dark, you know. And these guys are all about... Basically, they do raids, they capture people, and then they basically use them to do pit fights when you get in the street on their city that is in between. There is a dimension that the Eldar created between the real world and the Immaterium, which is called the Web, on which the Eldar used to travel. It's a way to avoid the warp, to travel without getting in the warp, so not in the danger. If you want, it's just like gliding above the warp, above the sea, basically. And they have a city in there that is called Komorag, and they love to basically hate fuck in there, and torture people, and do a ton of stuff. And those guys, when they die, they go to Slaanesh, but usually they become a demon of Slaanesh and they don't give a fuck about it. Also, I forgot to mention Eldar retire smashed swords that pretty much destroy their production CG, so they can't reproduce it anymore. I think it was retconned because right now Eldar do not have much trouble reproducing that much. They just don't do it because the normal Eldari are too busy avoiding pleasure and temptation to do it for pleasure, and the Dark Eldar are too busy killing each other to basically have. I'm not sure if it's still canon that they had a teeny penis. I think Game Workshop kinda took that away because it was not that interesting in the setting. What do you say, Blue?
The canon thing.
It used to be. I'm not sure it's still in the lore because.
That's why funny.
Also, they created recently. They created a third Eldari race, which are called the Corsairs, which is a neutral faction of the Eldari that decided to stay in the between. They're basically pirates. They don't refuse themselves to pleasure, but they don't seek it. They are basically in the middle. And a hero of the Eldar managed to arise among them and ally with humanity, and basically became the most important person in the Imperium after the Emperor right now is Gil. I don't remember his name of this guy because I never interested in.
Gilliman.
Yeah, Gilliman. Basically, Gilliman. Robot, Gilliman, and Eldar, I guess. I don't remember her name. Yes. Ivrain. This lady, which was a Corsair, basically the Eldar gods are very awakened because because there is a lot of stuff that went bad. How to say that? When the Chaos God, when Slaanesh came to reality, it weakened suddenly the Eldar God a lot. To the point where the goddess of life of the Eldar, which was a very powerful goddess able to give a lot of stuff. And I think that's how and why no Eldar are less able to produce more than the teeny penises. She basically got captured by Nurgle, which is the chaos demon of pestilence. And he took her to her garden, which is basically a very cursed place, and he puts her inside a cage because Nurgle love life. Life is what Nurgle loves the most because Nurgle is the chaos god of pestilence in the way that is all about stopping the change. Nurgle is the opposite of change. Change is the chaos god of changement. He's all about mutating, making shit change. He plays 5D chess with himself and is losing all the time. Nurgle is the opposite. He's very much about stability, about not feeling pain anymore, about feeling comfort and being nice and steady, you know. Just like Khorne is all about basically violence and murder and war, and Slaanesh is all about pleasure and sensation and beauty, you know. That's their domain, basically. And so basically this Nurgle guy, he basically went and took the goddess of life hostage because now he used her as a way to basically spread his pestilence directly through her. As for the other gods, some of them died. Some of them, one of them basically went somewhere very specific, and one of them got shattered, which is Cain, the god of anger. Which is this
Cain
guy
from Diablo.
No, Cain, this guy, which is the god of war and anger. And he is basically able to materialize to fight for the Eldar, which is kind of badass because you have a demigod on the battlefield. But anyway,
he even has a sword.
It's about getting all the diseases in the universe at the same time, so they basically control each other. Yeah. Exactly.
Basically, he has a sword. People can use it and channel him.
Yeah, you got a lot of fragments of him in every crafter usually has a fragment of Cain, and someone can answer the fragment into themselves and they become this thing, which is basically bleeding lava. And so you see, when you're bleeding lava, it's kind of easy to destroy a lot of things. They take often a lot of L because, of course, they are not as powerful as before, and they only call in the most desperate time, but they are very powerful. You don't want to be near this guy.
Notice being an aspect of war is usually not a good thing for the holder.
Yeah. So there is a lot of stuff happening with the Eldars recently because they allied with the humans, you know? This girl, which is basically Irlen, she basically for now is busy reigniting both the Dark Eldar by saying, okay guys, can you stop fucking each other? Stop stabbing this guy when I'm talking to you. Hey, no, get your finger outside of the... I don't care that he fucking told you that you were ridiculous. Get your finger out of the ears of this guy. And she's also saying to the older Eldars, the Eldari on the Craftland, okay guys, you need to chill about purity and not wanting to do anything with pleasure and all that stuff, because I know that you're very afraid of Slanesh, but it's not by dedicating yourself 1000 years to one aspect of one deity and swapping like this that you're going to do anything. So maybe not 1000 years. I think it's 1 century. They do 1 century cycle where basically they dedicate themselves to one thing for 1 century and to one another, one another. And if they get stuck inside the past, they're basically revered as very talented, but also despised as something that lost the way to life outside. There is also another there's another race that was recently the Exodite added, but we don't see yet much of their army. Remember, I told you that half of them went inside Craftworld, that was the Aldari. The others, they went to those Maiden World. A Maiden World is a world that is completely left pure out of every big aspect of technology, industry, stuff like this. It's all about living with nature, you know? So this guy, what they decided to do as the Exodites, they decided that we are going to live with dinosaurs. And I fucking want to play them because there is fucking units of them with basically spear of laser on raptors. Which is the most base stuff in the world. Look how base they are. Look at those fucking guys. I want the Exodite to be out already. Give me my fucking Exodite. They have plants on their vehicle and stuff like this. And they're basically all about living alone on their little planet and sitting there and being like, okay, no, we don't want contact with anyone else and we don't want any problem with any other else. But basically, there is still, of course, a lot of problem because when you see a lush green planet where everyone is happy to live with a dino, these guys, they see a place where they should, of course, build a big usine to get all those trees down and then mean the core of your planet. Or make it an agri world where there is only field everywhere. Basically, they fight a lot with humanity because humanity loves to make planets to grow bigger and bigger because humanity is always expanding. When I say that they're always expanding is that when... You know how colonization works, supposedly, right, Blue?
Just in general or in the universe?
In general, you want to colonize a planet. You want to make it livable.
These ways. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy.
What the fuck are doing the space marines inside this field? Basically, normally you just go to the planet, you create a colony, the colony develop, and after some times it's great, and you basically just live here, and the planet grow bigger, you know? No. The Imperium, when they want to colonize a planet, they take a planet, they go to their hive world, and hive world is a city world, basically, that is always overpopulated because humanity, you know, breeding all over the place. They basically push billions of people they push billions of people inside big batch, and they drop them in the agri world, or in the world to colonize, with very calculation, precise administration stuff they need to do. And they ship food to you, and in 1 year, 2 year max, the world become what they want it to be. The humanity is so big that they don't need time anymore to terraform planets. They can terraform planets by just sending populations there and giving them shovels. That's the eye of the power of humanity in this universe is all about their number. They're crawling everywhere.
One thing about hive worlds, to give you perspective, is they vary a bit, but the worst of the worst make you think that you're on a planet that is only a machine because you will never see the ground.
That's yeah. It's even worse in the hive worlds that are basically how we call that? It's not the name hive world for this one specifically. Is it a core world? No, it's not a core world. Hive world from the Adeptus Mechanicus. A Forge world.
Forge worlds are...
The Forge world are basically the same, except they are usines, where the magma of the planet is used itself, you know? They are huge gigantesque usine where you're born inside the usine, you produce ammunition for the Empire all your life, and you die inside the usine, and it's only that, you know? Humanity is all about creating those big places that are ultra specialized. Mars is a very old Forge world, the first of its kind. Very dangerous place to be, Mars. We don't know too much. We explored the surface of Mars. We have the Adeptus Mechanicus QG in there. It's, as you can see, very populated and stuff like this. The interior of Mars is mostly not known. And the things that are inside it are very dangerous. Most of the time, it's rogue eyes.
Oh.
Because humanity created the Iron Man. Back when humanity was a space federation, when we expanded, basically a bit like Helldiver, you imagine, but less caricatural, but we were a democratic world, we expanded all over the place, and we were happy, and we were just nice, and we didn't have any problem with the warp yet, and the Emperor wasn't born, etc., etc. We decided to create the Iron Man. And the Iron Man started replicating themselves and wiped out almost entirely the humanity, cutting every contact between us. And that's when stuff went very bad. A single Iron Man, a single of this unit, if you drop it somewhere... I remember that Lion and Johnson, which is the guy that guard a lot of forbidden stuff, forbidden weapon. He had trouble with a planet full of space marines, Chaos Space Marines, that were giving him hell because there was demon everywhere. It was too hard to take it, so what he did is he came back to his ship and he unleashed 8 little parts of his ships. Each of these little parts that crashed down were one single Iron Man. Each look different because they are autonomous, able to reproduce and do what they want himself. And he went down with them. And the 9 of them took a whole planet alone, full of Chaos Space Marines.
Wow.
Because they evolve, so they always learn how to kill you the best way. They reproduce, meaning that they are able to create more Iron Man from themselves. They are able to basically become as gigantic as Cathedral if they want, if this is the best way to kill you, or they're going to turn into nanobots if this is the best way to kill you. They're going to... You can imagine that basically they're able as much to create a cannon the size of a planet to destroy your sun, if they think it's the best way to kill you, that they're able to turn into microscopic machines that will looks like it's plaguing you like a plague, but instead it's them basically destroying you at the molecular level. They are extremely dangerous eyes. But they are also, after all this time, most of them, the ones that survived, they evolve so much that they become self-aware in a very high level, and that's why, everyone gangsta is just start walking.
It's the definition of we're gonna create the ultimate machine. Okay, we regret creating the ultimate machine.
Yeah, and basically they reach a level of intelligence to this point that means that basically Lion and Johnson, for example, with his 8 machines, he was able to negotiate with them, and they are serving him. Not because they think it's the best thing to do, but because they understood that any other option from them would be annihilation, and they still want to preserve their life. Because humanity, despite those machines being so advanced, humanity still managed to kill them by just the sheer number, because it was too late. Humanity was too numerous for them to manage to fight them. So it's just that humanity is you can't win against humanity in this setup, because humanity is everywhere. The only ones that are really able to threaten the universe right now in these standards is the Tyrannid, because the Tyrannids are just like humans. They are reproducing very fast. And even them have a really hard time, because humanity is not just a biological intelligence. It's reproducing with an intent, which is to basically survive. So even the Tyrannid are having a hard time, because humanity is always adapting in its own way to destroy them. At first, when I started interesting myself to Warhammer 40k, Tyrannid were just it was the first year the Tyrannid were created. They had released the box that is called the Battle of Macrage, which was the first encounter between Tyrannid and Space Marines. And one Space Marine survived, once the other that stuff existed. For a long time, it was kept under cover that Tyrannid existed. But now, at this time of the lore, there have been several campaigns of full extermination of Tyrannid, basically. So whole armada going to just pulverize them, and they can be very strong and very advanced, because it's a basically giant hive mind. They still don't manage. One chapter, my favorite chapter of the Chaos Space Marines. There is something called how is it called? Okay, it's obliterator virus. Obliterator virus. So it's a biological mechanical virus. You see, you become an obliterator. It means it's a space marines that get that becomes basically affected by that, and they start basically slurping down the weapon inside their own body. Their own body become a mechanical biological weapon able to create its own ammunition on the battlefield, and they just become these big guns with guns everywhere, and they swallow more guns, and they become bigger and stronger. And the Iron Warriors, which is basically my most beloved Chaos Space Marines chapter, mostly because they refuse the taint of the warp. They don't like the warp. They prefer mechanical stuff, basically. These guys captured one of the hive ship of the Tyrannid. One of those things. Giant. It's the size of. It's 15 kilometers long. And they infected it. They infected it with the obliterator virus.
Oh no!
And they control this fucking ship, and they go all around shooting it everywhere. They are fucking stupid. But yeah, humanity is busy fighting himself all the time. But when others try to destroy humanity, they get The Tyranids
They're
are
being
like,
really like,
okay,
"Leave us
we're
alone."
going to devour everything. We're going to devour the whole fucking universe. And then they meet the Chaos Space Marines, and then they meet this guy. They meet people that are coming from this guy, you know. And this guy is Nurgle.
Nurgle.
Grandpa Nurgle, cooking all the diseases of the world all the time. What do you think happened when that guy that thinks they're the most smart people and the most beautiful people and the most strong people that can adapt to everything, blah 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 blah. They meet this guy, which basically whole life is just creating fucking disease after disease after disease. Well, they catch
They
cold.
Yeah.
A whole fucking high fleet meeting one group of space marines, scout space marines of Nurgle. They can manage to digest him and protect themselves. But the day Nurgle look at them and sneeze on a high fleet, the high fleet basically explode. It's just a matter of countering each other's. Those guys, they are like... They have like 20 different strands of the Black Plague inside them all the time. And look how happy Nurgle is. He's like...
So the two things Tyranids struggle against is things they can't adapt to and things they can't consume.
Yeah,
and one thing, and one of the biggest ones is the orcs. They can't really do anything against the orcs.
The orcs are basically mushrooms. Mushrooms that they were basically when the Necrons and the Eldar were fighting and the Cthulhu and the Old Ones were fighting. They decided that
Old Ones created the corks.
Exactly. They decided to crack the corks as a biological weapon against the Cthulhu. And the corks were very... I don't think they...
I don't think they have any actual art.
Yeah, they have an art. I knew it. That thing is a cork. So they are basically biological warriors that are made for war. They are clad in armor, etc., etc. And if you cut a part of a cork and it falls into the ground, it creates another cork. That's how it worked. But when the old one disappeared, they devolved into the orcs. And the orcs are mushrooms that fall on the ground. And when they fall on the ground, they grew little clumps of orcs that start growing in number. And the first thing orcs does, you will know when there is an orc problem somewhere, they steal everything that is fucking metal. Everything that is in metal, they steal it. They put it together to make it resemble a gun, and when they press the trigger, it actually shoots arrows. Because they think it's going to work. The orc and the corks are given a psychic latent ability that is that if they think something is working, it will work.
If they believe it.
And the more believe in something, the more it works. And
orcs are powerful.
Yeah, so at first they're going to start making just guns and shoot them, you know. But after that, they're going to think that one of them is stronger than the other in the group, and this guy is going to start becoming bigger. Then their dog are going to just take you and attach something to you, like this big claw. It shouldn't work because they just basically stitch this big stuff to you, but it works. And it does what they want. And then they're going to think that what is red, go faster. So what is red go faster, what is blue is more lucky. So bullets are basically deviating away from anything that is painted blue.
What the heck?
And the big
Does that
problem...
mean if they think that you have no chance of winning, you really have no chance of winning?
It really diminishes your chance of winning, but they never think that. They never think that because orcs are here
They want a good fight.
They want a good fight. They want a good fight, they want to have fun, you know?
Does that mean if they thought that you were such an incredible enemy
than a good fight and a good enemy.
Does that mean that if they thought they had no chance of winning, they would just die?
They will flee. They will flee. And they will come back because you give them a good fight. That's the problem with the orcs. That's why you can't win against the orc unless you purge literally every spore of them after
The
killing them.
orcs are like
It's become you
that's such
kill.
a funny
There
little
is
terrifying enemy.
10 orcs that are coming to you. You know, you kill them. When you kill 8 or 9 of them, the last one is going to run off saying, "Oh, it's strong, it was good fight," and he's going to tell the other orc, "Oh yeah, we went there, it was good fight, yeah, you're very strong." The next day there is 100 orcs coming for you. You kill them. The next day there is 1,000, 10,000. Then you don't know how, but the news that you're there and your good fight is going to spread among the stars. And so they're going to get inside asteroids just to travel between stars, just to fight you.
Does that mean that if there was like an orc and you made like lots of little like very realistic looking things that look like orcs and they thought they were orcs, those would become orcs?
Yeah, there is actually humans that are orcs. Because basically, I don't remember what happened to them exactly.
Do the orcs have a god that they wished into?
Yeah, they have 2 gods. They had, what are they called? The orc gods.
Gork and Mork. Or
Gork and
something
Mork,
like that.
yes.
Gork and Mork.
Gork is strong but
love these
cunning,
names.
and Gork is cunning but strong. And they're fighting.
I love
Strong
this.
and
They
cunning
descend from
and
the
cunning
court.
and strong. And
The orcs
basically,
descend
those
from the
guys, there is a colony ship that basically crash landed on the Orc world. And the colon, the first colon got killed basically, and the ship don't awake and survive on the place. And the only model they had was Orc. And so they started imitating Orc, making micro society of Orc, where the strongest kid was basically becoming the noble. And the thing is, they started painting themselves green and giving good fight to the Orc. And for the Orc, it was very bad, because usually, not very bad, it was very weird but fun, because the Orc were used to attack those places with humans, and the humans were screaming and crying and begging, and it was good fight, but it wasn't always fun. And then they met these humans, and the first thing this human did is charge at them, screaming at them, saying that it was for his teeth. And it impressed the Orc, you know, he was like, oh. And they took a few defeats against the human. And so they started believing that those humans there were basically real Orc. And so the humans started turning green and turning bulky and strong. And it ended up with this sub-race of Orcs that is basically an hybrid between Orcs and humans that are beneficiating from the power of the Orc, because the Orcs think they are Orcs.
Did they gain the power to believe?
No, but since all the other Orcs think they have the power to believe, they have the power to believe.
Yeah, they're not exactly
That
part
is
of the
so
Gestalt,
cool.
but somehow they are at the same time. It's weird.
I love the idea of a race that can just believe things into
I
existence.
had a feeling you would love the Orcs. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
And there is a few races that are good at dealing with the Orcs, but the Tyranids are not good, because the Tyranids the Orcs keep going towards them. And the Orcs, they're kinda weird because they don't need nutrients to grow, they don't need to eat, they don't need to drink, they can fight days and nights, they basically all they need is starlight. As long as there is UV landing on them, they are photosynthesizing all they need to fight.
No traditional Tyranid tactics work against Orcs, so Tyranids go like, get away from us.
The Eldar are good at dealing with the Orc, because fighting Eldar is no fun for the Orc, because Eldar are always shooting at you, and the moment you get in a good spot to have the good fight, you know the Eldar are not here anymore, so they don't like fighting the Eldars.
The Psykers are the Orc counter, aren't they?
No, because they have their own bizarre boys. When too much Orc believes that one of them is weird, he become a bizarre voice that starts making psychic stuff happen.
Well, I'm more assuming because I thought maybe they could affect their mind and like make them think things, but
the Eldar, that's what the Eldar are doing. The Eldar are very good to deal with Orcs, because the Eldar were there when the Orcs were created, and they know all the old ones used, and they use a lot of illusions and little push left and right to not stop. Basically, the way the Eldar deal with orcs is the most intelligent way. They don't try to stop the big crushing wag, the wag of orcs that is like a wave of green skin by creating a barrage. What they do is they give a little nudge here and there in order
orcs are where
for
the
the green
Daka meme came
wag
from?
to go where they want to go. And if they have a big enemy, like if there is a high fleet that is going to attack craft world, you can be sure that they will make certain that a group of orc cross the high fleet and get a good fight, because that's the moment that the orc are going to say, yeah, let's go more, and they go. They are very good. The Eldar are very good at fighting against the orcs. Humanity is good too, because they just keep sending more people. So the orcs and the humanity are just getting. There is this big world of Armageddon.
Never-ending war.
Yeah, Armageddon is a love story between orcs and humanity. It's 100 wars on the world of Armageddon, where basically the fucking orc and the fucking humans, they just shoot at each other for years and years. And it never stops. And to the point where Armageddon, because it's a forge world, Armageddon is used to basically have a war economy where they produce, ammunition for the front line that is like 10 kilometers away from there, but they never stop. And the orcs keep coming, they land big rocks on Armageddon and everything explodes and they get out and they're like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah."
Good fight. More Daka.
And the humans, they keep sending more and more. I mean, since we're in 40k, I'm going to change my title. I will say we're going to finish it at some point because we need to play Minecraft. But I just want to show you a few more stuff.
I'm just imagining you disarm an orc of their weapon, and then they just like make the little gun, like make a little gun with their hand, and they look at it and suddenly shoot you.
No, okay. It's funny you say that, but there is a little.
Yeah, I'm going to show us
story
I'm going to show us a video about it.
Yes, that's great. There's literally a story about that.
That's great.
Let me show you the video about it. I was planning to introduce you to all that when we were doing the washing under the well, we're going to wash all those stuff from the 40k Millennium in Pressure Washer, but we never did, so I'm telling it,
I forgot.
What is the name of the video? Fuck.
I'm not sure what the name of it is.
Let's see. Yeah.
A bunch of Imperial Guardsmen, right? They're defending a spot, and the orcs just keep on coming. They just keep on coming. They don't stop. And eventually the guardsmen run out of ammunition with their las guns. And then the company commander has an idea. He points his las gun at an enemy and he goes, bang! And then an orc falls over dead. And then the guardsmen look at him and they're like, and then all the orcs just start falling over them.
Because they believe they've still got ammo, I assume.
until a group of 6 orcs run over the hill and they just won't fall over from all the banging. And then they hear chanting in the distance, and then as they get closer, they hear, I'm a tank, 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 I'm a tank.
No fucking way.
I think it's bullshit, but I love the story. It's a great story.
No, that has to be real, because that's fucking great.
Alright, so
I love it.
there is another race that the Tyranid have a very fucking bad time fighting, and it's those guys. So those guys, they are the Necrontyr, the guys that were fighting against the Eldar. They were a very basically fucking terrible race. They are born on a planet that was basically bath all the time with extremely heavy radiation. So they evolved as a race that has a lifespan of maybe 30 years. They were born, they were getting just barely enough old to start making children. They get cancer, they die. And somehow this guy managed to still produce a little empire, and that's when they meet the Old One, and they see the Old One as gods. They're like, oh, You managed to free yourself from the terrible suffering of flesh. How did you do this? And the old ones, the old ones, they answer, LMO, fuck you, get Rex, kill, L ratio made endless. And the Necronty are like, what? And they're like, can you tell us how to survive and become immortal? And like the old ones look at each other and they're like, ah, LMO, skill issue. And those guys, they get pissed off. Like, they get pissed off, like, incredibly pissed off. They go back to the Empire and they're like, oh my fucking god, I will find a way to fucking kill them. But if only I wouldn't die every fucking 30 years, maybe I could do fucking something. Because it's hard to do anything when you live only 20 to 30 years, you know?
Yeah.
And then they heard voices coming from inside their star. And they study their star, and they discovered that there are beings living near their star that are feeding from the radiation of the star itself. And those things are the Ctan. And the Ctan say, hey, we can make you better. Just give us bodies and listen to us. And that's what they do. They create those very strange mechanical device that the pure radiation beings that are the Ctan can habit. And the Ctan, they have powers that are incredible. They can modify matter, not thanks to the warp, but because they can influence molecules to the very basic level. They play with quartz, you know? And then unlight the Necron. They create technologies for the Necron, armor, a lot of stuff that basically make them not much live longer, as more as very technologically advanced. They in fact make them the most advanced technological race aside from the Eldar. And that's when the Star event broke out, because they are believing in the Ctan, and they're like, okay, now we have the Ctan, and we can get revenge on this fucking asshole. And that's when they start attacking the old ones, and the Ctan start feeding of the old ones. And of course, the old ones create in response the Korgs, and the Eldar start, shooting a bit everywhere. It's a fun time, you know, basically, whole star being blasted to radiation in a fucking single.
Necron weaponry is also terrifying, by the way.
I'm not gonna lie. I stopped absorbing information after we finished talking about the
it's
orcs.
okay,
I
it's
just keep
okay.
thinking-
Just
I
basically,
just keep thinking about the I'm a tinker.
just basically know that these guys, they basically create weapons. When they shoot at you, it breaks the link between your molecule. That thing that shoot at you,
That's scary.
you basically
Use
become a
armor,
bunch of
basically
atoms of
doesn't work.
carbon that are going left and right.
Yeah, our armor literally just does not work against their weapons.
Yeah, they have
The same thing
snipers.
with
They have
orcs.
snipers that is the wall effect of the sniper shot when you take it inside. It breaks the connection between your synapse.
What if the orc believed that it was just a regular shot?
But that's what the orc believe. When they see a green light that go towards them, the orcs are like, okay, it's a weapon, I'm dead. That's all, you know? The orc doesn't care about what kills them. But
Wait,
anyway.
does that mean if you hit them with a weapon they didn't believe was a weapon, they would just be invincible?
Yeah, they don't take it. And if they believe that they are stronger than the weapon you use against them because the weapon is not big enough, they don't die from the shot. That's all. They are very
I
tanky.
love the orc. I love
But
them
basically,
so much.
the Necron, the Ctan, the god of the Necrons, they give them a deal at some point. They're like, okay, we did a lot for you. You have ships, you have a very good weapon, etc., etc. But you still die young because of your genetic default material. They tell them something that you might have heard before, dear Blue. They tell them, okay, Silverstorm, something coming by. You're so important for us.
Yeah, have
I
a
hope
good
you're going
day
to
at
be
work.
able to do work correctly.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Fun.
And have
fun.
good luck with your work. And we are waiting for you to come back
Try to
whenever
be
you
an
want.
orc and believe in yourself.
And so basically the Ctan, the Ctan, they look the Necron and they say, hey, what if we took your mind and put it inside the same stuff that you did for us, So you can be immortal because you leave behind the flesh. Because the flesh is weak. Do you remember those words, Blue? The
No.
flesh is weak. Oh, you don't remember those words.
Flesh is weak.
You don't remember these words.
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of steel. I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine. Your kind cling to your flesh, as if it will not decay and fail you. One day the crude biomass that you call the temple will wither, and you will beg my kind to save you. But I am already saved. For the machine is immortal.
Do you remember now?
Yeah.
Blue? Blue?
Blue? Did Blue step away during that?
Hello?
Blue?
Oh, okay.
Did you see the bananas? I think Blue is lagging.
Hello?
You're the one not listening to us, Blue.
Hello?
Yeah?
Oh, okay. I think I dropped for like.
Yeah. Did you see the bananas or
Yeah.
not?
The what?
Okay, let's try. Look at what
I
I'm
saw
going
like
to show you.
I saw like 30
From
seconds
the
of that.
moment I understood the weakness of my flesh,
I saw this.
it
Shut up.
disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of steel. I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine. Your kind cling to your flesh, as if it will not decay and fail you. One day the crude biomass that you call the temple will wither, and you will beg my kind to save you. But I am already saved. For the machine is immortal. Even in death, I serve the Omnisire.
Okay, so those guys, you better remember them because I'm not going to talk to you about them, but it's important to know them.
Okay. I
But
don't.
yeah, that's what the Titans say to the Necron. The flesh is weak. And the Necrons, they accepted. Not all of them. Only the leader of the Necron accepted, thinking that it was a promise of power. They created those big factories on their planet ready to do what they call the harvest, to start basically making their race into immortal being. And as the leader went under those, basically these monoliths to be turned purposely into those things that they call Necron, the population that wasn't agreeing, scarabs went out, that kind of stuff, and grabbed the people by the hair, by the skin, and forced them, all of them, into this machine. The one after another, they harvested their own population to the last individual to turn them into machine. And when they all went through that, the lords that were the leader of their race, they realized that they have been trapped. As much as the higher member of their caste, the lords, the the more eminent people, the more intelligent people were able to actually still have a mind of their own and still be able to think and express.
Being held hostage.
No, the lower caste have been turned into mindless machine, unable to express themselves, unable to feel, unable to think. Basically, barely more than just robots ready to obey. And once
Summer Blue wants to say something.
yeah,
I said I'm being held hostage.
you're being held hostage by what?
You.
Why?
I told you I'm not really absorbing any of
I'm
this
telling you
information
that
anymore.
I'm finishing with that, and I leave you. And so basically, they went into they turned against the Ctan, which the Ctan, for some reason, weren't exactly planning them to do, because they thought that they would be a bit angry, but they would still obey us and worship us because we're giving them immortality. And okay, the lower people, they're dumb as shit now, but hey. And they fractured them. They shattered their own gods. Some forever, and some stuck inside very specific confinement zone in little parts, little pieces. And after doing that, they went to sleep. And so the Tyrannid have a really hard time. I went all this way to say why the Tyrannid have a really hard time against this guy. Because when the Tyrannid are fighting these guys, they are basically running on raw losses. As usually, a Tyrannid fight 100 people with 100 of their troops. If they win, they're able to eat 200 bodies. It's a net worth. When they fight against the Necron, winning or losing, they can't eat anything back. Because there is nothing to eat on the Necrons. The Necrons are just mindless steel machines. It's not biomatter. There is not a single thing they can digest in them or absorb or evolve with. And even worse, their weapons they use, most of the time it poisons the very flesh of the Tyrannid fighting them, meaning that the Tyrannid are basically unable to do anything with the body, the soup that remain of their own warriors. They are basically completely running out of fuel and matter, and the whole tactic of we reabsorb what we lose is not working. So that's why the Tyrannid are not able to invade the whole galaxy, because they're having a very big struggle against many different races.
And Tyrannid have at least one advantage here, and that's the Necrons don't go out of their way to kill them.
For now. But it's rumored that the leader of the Necron actually went to sleep and woke up early because he saw the mental imprint of the Hive Fleet coming towards the galaxy. So there is a possibility that the Necron are actually preparing themselves to defeat the Hive Mind, because they are unlike. They basically went to sleep because they were done with this galaxy and with the war, and they said, okay, let's stop this fucking shit, let's go to sleep for billions of years, and when we wake up, we're going to figure out how to fix our bodies. But they woke up very more soon than what they wanted to. And one of the theories is because of the Tyrannid coming, because if the Tyrannid devours the whole galaxy without anyone to stop them, then it means that they won't have any way to basically do the biotransference, which is basically reverting what happened to them. Because they want to become back to flesh. They want to become back to flesh. They want to become back to flesh, and the flesh that can live for long. That's why they are also very obsessed with humanity, and especially the Space Marines. For the Necrons, the Space Marines, as much as they hate how strong they are against them, they have a very fundamental sort of admiration for how long and how well their body are made. They crave for this genetic engineering.
They were genetically engineered to be perfect living beings in terms of like where they were going. So it's like the direct opposite of.
Yeah, but that's what the Necron want for themselves. That's what they desire. In the end, the Necron never changed what they wanted from the start and what they asked from the old ones. They just want to have bodies that live longer than 20 or 30 years. And no, they have that, but they also want bodies that can fucking taste flesh and be happy and love and have people to discuss with, and I don't want their people to be mindless machine. Of course, some Necron Lord doesn't care about their current state, but the most of the high Necron Lord actually want to be back to being an alive race, because this is torture. This is immortality, but at what cost? Anyway, that's all for Warhammer 40k for today. I will probably do another video on the subject when Blue is able to get a bit more. I'm going to cram so much Warhammer lore inside these teeny bunny heads that she's going to be able to play the battle, the double game with me, the tabletop game, because that's the whole purpose in the end, to play the tabletop. I'm sure she's already. I'm sure she wants already to play the Orcs. I'm sure she's going to make her happy to play the Orcs.